From playing everyone's favorite Man of Steel to possibly becoming the next James Bond, is Henry Cavill finally going to get the 007 role after 17 years? Or is Aaron Taylor Johnson going to swoop in and get his license to kill first? You heard it, it's finally down to the top two contenders. Let's play Who's It Gonna Be? So, with an announcement regarding the new casting of our favorite secret agent at the beginning of this year, a huge list of British actors made it look like that neither Henry nor Aaron were gonna make the cut, but things seem to have taken a U-turn, and both the actors are now apparently the two finalists. Given that they are also nearing the peak of their professions, one might argue that either of them would be the ideal Agent 007. The franchise, however, can only choose one, right? And it all comes down to what the showrunners would want. So let's hear from Barbara Broccoli, who said that after James Bond passed away in the 2021 film No Time to Die, there hasn't been any formal casting decisions whatsoever. But you know us fans, all of us had made up our minds for Henry.
I really loved my suit. I thought it was pretty cool. However, if it were to happen again, I would definitely be open to the idea of adding the trunks in some way, shape, or form.
Like we were so sure he was going to be the new Bond. But then we all watched Bullet Train and got conflicted. Anyway, Broccoli thinks a younger version in a reboot would work better than anything else, even though it's going to be tougher to sell that story. She stated that in the past they did indeed attempt to look at younger folks, but the idea didn't quite sit right, because hey, Bond's a veteran and has more than just some experience in what he does. The man has a background, and if the actor looked like he just graduated high school, fans might start complaining. So what the producers did was set an age cap of a minimum of 30 years and let it roll. And here we are with two of the best prospects. Not gonna lie, but I'm happy with both. But let's see who actually ticks more boxes. Starting with ex-Witcher and ex-Superman Henry Cavill. Now this guy has an extensive resume that supports his claim to be the next James Bond. I mean, first of all, he's pretty attractive. And secondly, he's already physically the ideal candidate for the part just by glancing at his body and his oh-so-incredible jawline. Not to mention, he's no stranger to gritty and hard-hitting action films, having previously portrayed a spy in Mission Impossible Fallout in 2018. He was also excellent as the international spy Napoleon Solo in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So basically, like I said, everyone wants Cavill to play Agent 007 in upcoming installments of the franchise. But compared to other actors, his chances of landing the job in the UK are very strong.
It's been great, actually. It's one of those things which I didn't do for a long time because I wasn't ready to do it, and I just felt that I found my voice and things which I could talk about, and it was important to me to talk about things like this and to show people a slight insight to who I am as a person.
The adored actor now has a lot of free time after hanging up the Superman cape and quitting monster hunting in The Witcher. Sure, the actor's already joined hands with Amazon, who's developing a new Warhammer 40,000 television series. But just like Bond's basically everyone's dream role, it was for Henry as well. The actor tried out for the role in Casino Royale back in 2006. Before becoming a Kryptonian, Cavill went to the audition for the part, but he lost out to Daniel Craig.
I think it's funny when you're stunt performing, because you're often doing different bits that you don't know what the other person is doing for their piece.
It's actually funny because imagine you were so muscular that they reject you because of it. Plus, he was too young at that time, especially when the producers were looking for an actor in their early 40s. And now that Craig has played it for an entire decade and a half, it only makes sense for the franchise's creators to reevaluate Henry Cavill.
We got through eventually, and they said, look, we haven't got a script yet, we've barely got a showrunner, so we can't give you an answer.
But again, as I mentioned, the producers might be reinventing the character, and that is where Aaron Taylor Johnson steps in. And yes, the personality of the top secret spy is quite complicated. He's not one to run from danger, since he has a license to kill and a passion for adventure. Look, Aaron Taylor Johnson could end up being the ideal choice. He can definitely pull those Bond elements off, because like in 2010, Johnson gained notoriety for his role in the superhero movie Kick-Ass. But things really hit it off when he played Quicksilver in Avengers Age of Ultron. I'm gonna be honest, looking at his resume, he still lacks the achievements necessary to compete with Henry Cavill.
Well, it kind of transpired that he thought he was trying to explain to the other cast, like, you know, how he cast me. So I saw this fantastic performance of you.
However, his movie Bullet Train only acted as a launching pad toward the Bond direction. He literally stole the show, and frankly, Johnson's performance in this part may have doubled as his on-screen Bond audition. And that's why Aaron is already being considered to play James Bond over a dozen more actors who were actually looking like the favorites. He also spoke with executive producer Barbara Broccoli in an interview, and according to reports, the conversation was going well. And if the showrunners think Aaron is the one, we may see him assume the role. Plus, the series could get a new Bond, as Aaron's ability to be both cool and amusing might revitalize the Bond character's sense of humor without adding the silliness of the Connery era. His youth adds an intriguing element to the game, because a fresh Bond in a new environment might bring a variety of problems and circumstances that we haven't seen before. The main question is whether the brand will completely disappear, or if it will stick with a supporting cast that was created during the Daniel Craig era. On top of that, if they take into consideration the popular notion that James Bond is only the nickname that is passed down from spy to spy, it might add an intriguing element to the entire series. What? Didn't see that coming. But honestly, this idea appears to be the beginning where the series will be able to continue in one go without having to completely restart. And on the chance this occurs, Taylor Johnson may be the new man who will have to demonstrate his worth in ways that earlier Bonds would not have had to. But let's come back to the ground, because according to recent news from Jeff Snyder, presenter of the podcast The Hot Mic, it appears that Eon Studios has concluded that the actor is not the appropriate fit for the role. In a recent episode, Snyder mentioned an inside tip that he had which suggested Johnson no longer being in the run to be 007, while he and John Rocha were reviewing everything that had surfaced in the previous week. Jeff also said that it was kind of mind-blowing when he heard, but as of now, there is maybe less than a scoop of hope for Aaron, as the actor is reportedly not a lock to play Bond, as the showrunners, despite showing interest previously, don't believe it's appropriate for him. More like maybe the actor needs Bond more than Bond needs him. With all the backing and the attributes of the MI6 agent that he possesses, many fans and members of the general public think that Cavill could just win the part, but only if he says yes. See, Henry Cavill's ranked top in the polls, receiving almost 50% of the total votes. And according to even more sources, the odds are all in his favor. Cavill's really the frontrunner to take on the role in the James Bond revival, although there is a sort of a leak that he may actually be playing the antagonist in the franchise. But that's a story for another time. Who do you think is going to make it, though? Having said that, that was all for Henry Cavill versus Aaron Taylor Johnson, and who will become the next 007.
It's just the experience. You are building something which is entirely custom to you. It's the doing all the research, learning how to put it together, getting over the terror of these expensive components arriving in the mail, and then you just plugging them in like adult Lego, and then hoping you don't blow up the house when you press the power button.